Good day, everyone. From Washington, we're coming on the air just as a critical test vote is getting underway in the Senate that could make or break the confirmation of Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. If the vote passes, that will start the clock up to a 30-hour debate under Senate rules before a final vote can be held. Let's take you right now to the floor as the vote is being called.
Call the roll.
Mr. Alexander.
Aye.
Ms. Baldwin. Mr. Barrasso.
Aye.
Mr. Bennett. Mr. Blumenthal. Mr. Blunt. Mr. Booker. Mr. Bozeman. Mr. Brown. Mr. Burr. Ms. Cantwell. Mrs. Capito. Mr. Cardin. Mr. Carper. Mr. Casey. Mr. Cassidy. Ms. Collins. Mr. Coons. Mr. Corker. Mr. Cornyn. Ms. Cortez Masto. Mr. Cotton. Mr. Crapo. Mr. Cruz. Mr. Daines. Mr. Donnelly. Ms. Duckworth. Mr. Durbin.
All right, so
Mr.
what you're
Enzi.
watching right now is the first of what could be two votes. It's been called a test vote or a procedural vote. It's essentially the vote to kind of end the process that we've been witnessing of debate and moving towards a final vote on the confirmation of Brett Kavanaugh. Let's go to Casey Hunt right now at the Capitol. Casey, walk us through what's happening and where this goes.
Well, Lester, this is the critical test vote, as you point out, and it's a situation where if there are two Republicans and all Democrats who vote no, then this nomination will not go forward. But at this hour, there are indications that the final vote on Kavanaugh could actually be different than this procedural vote. We still need to hear from critical undecided senators Lisa Murkowski, Jeff Flake, and Joe Manchin. But Susan Collins has indicated she's going to vote yes here on this procedural vote, and then she's going to announce how she intends to make her final vote in a floor speech at 3 p.m. this afternoon. Now, there is speculation here on Capitol Hill. That means that it's unlikely she will change her vote in the final instance, and that means that she will be a yes. But we do not have that confirmed at this point.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, this vote. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Lester, go ahead. I was just going to say that this is something that we haven't seen as much lately, but in the past, it hasn't been uncommon for people to vote to move a nomination or a bill forward and then switch up and vote the other way on final passage. So it seems as though this drama, unless, again, we get two no votes on this cloture from Republicans, and Joe Manchin also sides with them, that this drama is going to extend into another day, Lester.
It sounds like a little drama going on behind you. What's happening here?
So these protesters, some of them actually were out here when I was on the air earlier this morning. They were here overnight at the Capitol, and they've brought their loudspeakers, set up a speaker system, and are continuing kind of this protest, this atmosphere that we've seen on Capitol Hill all week. I do think some people are surprised Susan Collins decided to draw this out, in part because the environment has just been so tense, and people are just extraordinarily they're under a lot of pressure. They are being confronted by people with very emotional and difficult stories. And a lot of people have been looking to try and bring that to an end or a conclusion, but it doesn't look like Senator Collins is ready for that quite yet.
All right, Casey, thank you very much. This voting process could go for about a half hour or so. Let me bring in Chuck Todd and Andrew Mitchell watching alongside us. The thought has been this vote will mirror what we would see tomorrow. Not necessarily.
No, I don't think that necessarily. And just by the way, this was the old 60-vote threshold that we've now limited down to 50. This was the breaking of the what this is technically the breaking of the filibuster vote, but you don't need 60 votes to break it. You now just need the simple 50. Look, John McCain is probably the most recent example where somebody voted yes to advanced debate and then no on final passage, and that was over the repeal and replace of health care. So, look, I think when you look at Jeff Flake, we have the four of the core